Hi! In this video I'm going to stay on the subject of dream goals, and I've already looked at one of the most common things that people want to try when they first become lucid, which is flying. But I'm pretty sure that another very common lucid dream goal, just one that's not spoken about as often, is dream sex.
Do I know you from somewhere?
I've seen your face before.
This all seems so familiar.
I can only speak for myself as someone who grew up with the ability to lucid dream, but I'd imagine that most of the male population, at least, will be quite intrigued by this type of freedom that comes in a lucid dream. And I would imagine that for others like me who had regular lucid dreams from childhood, that they too went through puberty and their teens with one thing on their mind, not just when they were awake, but also when they were dreaming, and they too might have, like me, lost their virginity in a dream before they did in the real world. It does seem to be a bit of a taboo subject that rarely comes up in lucid dreaming groups or forums, although there is a lot of debate as to whether dream sex with anyone other than your partner is on a par with cheating or committing adultery. Everybody's entitled to their opinion on this. Personally, since I met the person who has become my wife, I've stopped fornicating with random dream characters, with the exception of her as she appears in my dreams. So anyway, enough of this small talk and let's get down to business. Excuse the double entendre, but I think again, for most of the male population at least, getting down to business, the lack of any need for foreplay, will be one of the big appeals of dream sex, whereas females will think differently, and their idea of dream sex may involve extended or endless foreplay. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because the dream character has no needs or desires, so it's all about what you want and who you want, because in the lucid dream you decide who you seduce. I do think it's a bit futile to waste your time conjuring up your favourite celebrity when something just as good or even better is as enjoyable. And the real trick isn't in conjuring up a dream character. The tricky part is in convincing the dream character to be a part of this beautiful act of love that you want them to take part in, or the sordid fantasy that you want to indulge in with them. And as with all dream goals, a lot of it comes down to your beliefs, your self-esteem, your level of lucidity, and as was the case with me, what you were told was right and wrong when you were growing up. I found that all of this made it quite difficult for me to convince my little subconscious projections to want to be with me. And I realised that I didn't have the faith in myself that was needed in order to telepathically transmit my desires to the dream character, or the frame of mind that was required in order to initiate the telekinetic removal of their clothing. So I can only tell you what eventually worked for me in the hope that it too works for you. There are 3 methods that I've found are guaranteed to make a dream character want you almost every time. Firstly, I'll tell you the last method that I developed, because it's the only one that I use now, and it quite simply involves having someone in your life that you love dearly, someone who's always willing to be close with you, whether in the real world or in the dream world. I would recommend that you resolve any arguments before you go to bed, because your partner's mood may well carry over into the dream and be adopted by their avatar in there. So back to the first method, which makes me question what I feel deep down females are really after, and quite possibly says a lot about how I feel that I'm valued by the opposite sex. But without going too deeply into the inner workings of my psychology, the method quite simply involves offering them cash. Delve deep into your dream pockets and you'll find there's always a wad of money big enough to convince or bribe your subconscious into doing whatever it is you want them to do. I've never been entirely comfortable with this method of prostituting my own mind, and it did eventually become a last resort for the rare occasion when the second method didn't work. The second method is a little less exploitative and involves a little bit of induction before you go to sleep. Basically, affirm in your mind as you're drifting off that you and your beloved subconscious projection have an agreement to be together intimately in the dream. Then, when you find yourself lucid, remind your dream character of the agreement and they'll happily oblige. This worked almost every time for me. Of course, if you're more of a romantic type, feel free to ask your dream character out on a date. Meet up with them, take them for a meal, walk them home, wait 2 or 3 dreams for them to text you, meet up again, take them out, invite them back to your dream house for a coffee and see how it goes. At the end of the day, maybe we should be treating our dream characters as if they were real people and giving our mind the respect that it deserves. But let's be honest, dream sex is all about spontaneity. It's about risk-taking without the risks and the freedom for it to be exactly how you want it to be. Personally, I did find it all got a bit empty after a while. There's something missing when you know that the other person isn't real, when there's no real connection and there's no pleasure from knowing that the other person finds you attractive or are enjoying it as much as you do. But let's face it, at the end of the day, dream sex is just glorified masturbation. As I said before, it's just you messing around with yourself inside your own head. But it is interesting to see how your dream characters respond to your sexual advances, because it's indicative of how you feel deep down about yourself, your self-esteem and your self-confidence. And this brings me back to what I was saying in the last video about using your lucid dreams to go into your own mind and explore your subconscious from within and see just exactly what's going on in there. And that's what we're going to look at in the next video. Thanks for watching.